Next up, we have Dan Avner, who's going to tell us about GOATs as an end-to-end test for time domain and multi-messenger astronomy.
Here we go. Hey everyone, my name is Dan Avner. I'm a software engineer at NOAR Lab, and today I'm going to be talking about GOATS, the Gemini Observation and Analysis of Target System. It was a great pivot from Rach's talk because this is built off the Tom toolkit. It can do everything a Tom toolkit can and built up to be a lot more asynchronous and handle a lot of background tasks. That makes it pretty cool. Probably gonna say cool a lot, so my bad. So discovery is no longer the bottleneck. There's millions of alerts per night. Multi-wavelength follow-up is required now, and rapid response is critical. That's why GOATS was developed. We realized that there was an interface, a uniform interface needed to schedule these follow-ups. The components are all there, just the workflow is fragmented. You've got alerts and brokers, you've got target and observation managers, you've got all the different telescopes, the different interfaces, hence AonLib being proposed as a way to talk to them. You've got different ways of getting the data, the different archives, the different ways of downloading, how they handle proprietary and public data, the different data reduction techniques, the different ways of doing analysis. And so GOATS was proposed for the NOAR Lab interface. GOATS is the Gemini Observation and Analysis of Targets System. GOATS is the GOAT. Never saying that again, though. So GOATS is a local browser-based application, no cloud deployment required. It's integrated and then workflow. And we really wanted to abandon the traditional request response user experience. It's very asynchronous, meaning that there's a lot of background task capabilities. You send a command to do something, it'll do it in the background, and it's a unified interface across a lot of systems. So the software architecture is that it's built off the Tom toolkit, so it's a Django application. It's got the Python backend. The user interface is all based in vanilla JavaScript because I wanted a big challenge. The execution model is all asynchronous background tasks, and it's designed for long-running workflows. So far, our project scientist has done, I believe, 10 hours of doing ghost data reduction in the background on her machine. So it can do some pretty heavy stuff. GOATS is as strong as your own personal machine. So if you've got an older machine, it won't be as fast as like the new M5s that are out. Deployment, it's distributed as a Conda package and it runs locally. I'm going to take you through the workflow of GOATS. So we're going to start off with target selection. This is all tailored towards Gemini and the NOAR Lab ecosystem. So Antares is hosted. GOATS is a local deployment. You can't really push anything from a hosted site to a local deployment, and we need to be clever and figure out a solution for this. So we built a browser extension. It's available on Mozilla Firefox and Google Chrome. You can think of it as you go shopping for a target, or if you've ever done a GIF registry, you have a browser extension that you click on it and it adds it to your registry. You go on Antares, you click the browser extension, and it adds the alert to your GOATS instance. You can also make queries or filters. You click the browser extension and it adds it to your GOATS instance. So it sends it directly to GOATS. Over here, you have the config file that when you right click on the extension, you set up where you want to send it to. So when you file an extension with Google Chrome, they analyze the heck out of it and they go, what are you doing? This is a scientific extension. They're like, what is going on here? But they let it slide. It was interesting working with Google developers getting this published. Next, you have all the icons that the extension will relay back to you. We're rated pretty highly, 5 stars. 2 reviews, definitely not my boss and Monica, my project scientist. So check it out. Next is interacting with the telescopes. So GOATS talks to Gemini and all the other telescopes supported by Tom Toolkit Goats is the interface to GPP, the new Gemini program platform, which is the next generation observatory control system. Goats provides a unified user experience. We didn't want anyone to leave the Goats website, so we built a mini GPP interface that's fully reactive and asynchronous that communicates the GPP through our API client. So each one of these accordions can drop down, you fill out your information, and you submit the TOO creation, and you can trigger the TOOs as well. However, because GPP is a Scala GraphQL backend, we realized no one really wants to deal with GraphQL, and someone needs to build a Python client. And since Goats is the first one dealing with GPP, I was nominated as the engineer to do it. So GPP client exists. It's our way of talking to GPP. It's fully asynchronous. It uses Pydantic and fully typed. And that's what different applications will be using to talk to it and so forth. Goats is the first application using it. The scheduler for Gemini will be using it, and other libraries as well will be using it. Goats then talks to Goa, the Gemini Observatory Archive. And so you access your data through Goats, and we have a form to download data in the background. You fill it out, and we support public and proprietary data. What's really nice is our background downloader is pretty nifty. It knows when to decompress files. It can update you on the status. Also, if it's really complicated instrument data like Ghost, one of our Gemini instruments, it will run all the recipe reductions to debundle the instrument data. So there's no manual interaction with the archive at all. We get to what I think is the coolest part, the Dragon's data reduction. So I actually haven't seen a data reduction pipeline on the web. Our Dragon's data reduction on Gemini is a Python API or a command line interface. I saw this and I was like, we should put this and build a whole web interface to reduce data online. So it's pretty crazy looking. Excuse this big screenshot, but we took Dragons and put it on the web, and it's fully asynchronous with background tasks using Redis, WebSockets to communicate in real time what's going on, full on access to all the files associated with an observation ID. The way it works is you create a run, a snapshot of the observation files. It pulls in all the information, all the files, all the metadata, and organizes it by observation type. And then you can create different filters for the files. You can actually go in, and since this is run locally, you can actually modify the code of the recipe that's run on these files. So when you create a master bias, you can go in, edit it on the web, and add or remove primitives for it. We've got a sidebar that can pop out in the help menu, and you can pick out which primitive you want to learn more or add to the recipe to really expand or make the recipe your own. It makes it so you can reproduce reduction runs by just clicking in different run IDs to load. We get to the interactive data analysis. Goats offers some light visualization plots. We also offer the ability to transfer the Astro Data Lab to continue working there. Finally, Goats had its first stress test just a few weeks ago, and we did the end-to-end test using Rubin alerts. Right here are some screenshots of my face throughout as the night went on. I'm pretty dramatic, so honestly, this is just me just being dramatic, but night was super successful. We processed alerts from Antares using Goats. We triggered follow-up observations using Gemini, SOAR, and Blanco. We retrieved, reduced, and visualized the data, and we demonstrated that Goats can do the full end-to-end workflow, all the way from ingesting the alerts using the browser extension to getting these science results. We ingested and followed up with 18 alerts during those 2 nights on those telescopes. Lessons learned. So developing Goats, we definitely saw a lot of hard times here. Really requires a lot of coordination between teams and systems. Continuous integration is essential for all of this. Dedicated development and sandbox environments are a must. There's a lot of endpoints for different services that aren't fully integrated in sandbox environments. So when you go and you actually implement them, you get a lot of failures if you don't have an actual sandbox to test. And full workflow testing is just as important as component testing. So LCO and I have worked together a lot on this because we are built on Tom Toolkit. And it's pretty cool seeing them be so responsive to Goats issues. Or so I file an issue, I file a pull request. It's a very mutual beneficial relationship. I'd love to see that more with different software libraries out there and work together and make better software. Right here, I just have some discussion points of really just improving the software ecosystem of building up and linking together more of these components, because all the components are there. It's just unifying the interfaces. And so, thank you for your time.
Thanks, Dan. We have questions. Back. Oh, okay. Now it's working. Okay. Thank you so much for the talk. I have a question.
Yes.
If I have my own Tom or Marshall or whatever, do I connect it to Goats to operate with Gemini, or do I do it differently? Or do I do everything through Goats?
Right now you do everything through Goats. However, we are exploring Tom to Tom sharing. So that is something we're adding in right now.
Yeah, I have a related comment. I think Goats is awesome, and I've asked this question, almost this exact question to Monica before. Like, I want all of these features. I want to use them, but I use telescopes that are not Gemini also. And so I want to integrate all of this stuff into my own Tom. It seems like you're almost there because you're built on the Tom toolkit, but are there plans to like push pieces of this back into the Tom toolkit or its affiliated packages so that I can just like install them? Like, I would love to be able to run Gemini data reduction in my Tom in the Tom toolkit, but I don't know how easy that is.
It becomes a architecture standpoint then, because we do use Redis as a channel layer to send everything back and forth through the WebSockets, because we use Django channels to communicate, and that requires some sort of interface layer. So it really is just seeing what your stack looks like and then going off of, okay, if you want to make a commitment to using a software stack that's like that, then yeah, we could definitely talk about it more. It is adding in a lot of JavaScript and just maintaining it. So, but the Dragon stuff is pretty yeah, but I don't know what else to add to that. I haven't tried it yet. I'd like to pull it out and see what it's like trying to package on its own, but we haven't had time to do that.
Hi. Oh, you want to go? Go for it.
If I could just pick up on that point, thanks. So thank you, Dan, that was a wonderful talk. And just to pick up on your question, Griffin, is that we had a fantastic workshop at the end of last week with Dan and the Goats team, and we've learned a huge amount from them. Integrating what they've done with the Tom toolkit does require Redis and a few other like Dramatique to manage the extra processes. That is something I would very much like to see. It can do. We want to structure it in a way that is flexible so users can make this do what they want it to do, but keep it lightweight if people don't want to do it. So yeah, this is a subject that is under discussion and we'll work on this.
Okay, quick question. Thank you so much for the talk. One, if you trigger observations, does it still, through Ghost, does it still log within the OT, like the old system? Like say I trigger Gemini. And two, if I do dragons reductions, all those things with Goats, I guess it's kind of stored locally, but is there like a storage system for past runs, like of reduction, so I can see past attempts and re-extractions and things like that? Or does like a new, I guess, user run happen every time I use goats for reducing with dragons?
For the first question, we don't support the old OT. It's only GPP right now for triggering. So GPP hasn't been released. It will be released in a couple months. And for the run question, you could access the previous runs just by using the dropdown. They are not deleted when starting a new one.
All we have time for. I'm excited for the discussion at the end of the session because I think we have a lot to talk about. So let's thank Dan.